Nya.
Alright, we are here on chapter 6, which is Castle Near...
Nya.
Naerytar.
Yeah. Alright, so this left off when you find the secret tunnel from the roadhouse.
Roadhouse.
There it is. Cool. And that goes into a swamp called the Mare of Dead Men. So yeah, you follow the tunnel out. There's 15 cold, muddy, difficult miles between you and where you're going. So it's broken down into a couple different sections. The first day you walk and it's soggy. It's gross and it's considered difficult terrain. That night you come across a camp, which is really just like a couple of flat boards, and beyond that the trail goes away, so you need to take canoes, and there are canoes there waiting for you, which is nice. While you're in the camp, 9 Lizardfolk paddle up in canoes. They don't really start anything at first because they think you might be cultists with, more treasure for whatever they do. But there's one amongst them named Snapjaw. And Snapjaw doesn't like what's going down. So you can actually befriend him and get him to turn to your side. At this point, I should probably kind of explain the dynamics of Castle Nyanya. So the cult of the dragon took over this kind of abandoned castle in the middle of a swamp as one of its staging areas. So there are cultists here. There are also bullywugs, which are frog people. They are led by a shaman named Farblex Spattergoo. And the bullywugs have kind of, I'm not going to say enslaved,
But sort of
enslaved the Lizardfolk who live in this swamp too. So the Lizardfolk are being subjugated by the cult and kind of just doing what they say, not unhappily. And other than that, there's a black dragon somewhere in the area. You know this, they know this. It's round. It has a name, but I don't like it, so I'm not going to say it. It's Voldemort. It's not Voldemort.
It's not Voldemort.
So yeah, when you meet up with Snapjaw, you can persuade him to kind of join you.
But he speaks only Draconic, I think?
I think so. I think all...
Yeah, pretty much everything. Learning Draconic as a player in this game is pretty useful.
He can do like caveman common talk.
Yeah.
But he speaks fluently Draconic. So, yeah, and he can convince other people to join your cause, and at that point you head off in the canoes together to try and to get to Castle Nyanya. There's an encounter table for things on the way, and some of them, you're going to be encountering new things. Bullywugs, crocodiles, giant frogs, giant lizards, giant spiders, lizardfolk, quicksand, shambling mound, will-o-wisps, and a Yuan-Ti hunting party. Those are all things that you could run into. The fact that there's a black dragon in the area doesn't come into effect unless you are near the camp and you... Unless you're, near the camp and you get will-o-wisps, then the will-o-wisps, and if you fall for it, the will-o-wisps are just lights that look like lamps and they try and lead you astray. They try and lure you into the Black Dragon's lair. Which isn't in here, you have to make that up on the spot. So
yeah.
I would say as a DM, either take that out or plan for it and make it happen.
Yeah.
This section is really long. This section of the book, it takes up many, many pages because you got the whole description of the castle, the description of how you're getting to the castle, all the different factions, the different people within the factions, and then, outside of the castle, inside of the castle, and the basement of the castle.
Yeah, there's a lot.
So it's a big room with big things. So yeah, that's the basic layout. You get to So once you get to the castle, there are a bunch of lizard folk dwellings on the outside. They live in like longhouses, kind of like Iroquois Native Americans, if you know your history. And
Or live in New York, because we learned all about that growing up.
Yeah, in history class.
That's true.
So,
all right.
So yeah, you can either, if you have Snapjaw with you, you just kind of like walk through the lizard folk camp. They don't bug you. And if not, you can sneak through. I think it's a 15 dex check to just like sneak through the camp where no one looks. I mean, no one's really looking for you because they're subjugated and grouchy.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and then you get into the castle, and the castle is a large.
Yeah, the
large
castle is
thing.
the big part.
We're not gonna go through room by room.
No, there's too much stuff. Why don't we just highlight on? Well, first off, let's talk about how us getting there. Stuff that happened up until that point. Would you have changed anything? Did you have? I mean, obviously the big one would have been the dragon.
The dragon.
They don't give you any information for that,
Nope.
so you have to come up with that on your own if that were to happen.
Which I don't recommend because he's an adult black dragon.
That's a pretty
powerful.
Here, I got it right here.
I'm gonna guess 13.
Maybe. Let's see. Adult black dragon. 14.
14. All right, that was close. So yeah, you guys are level 5 at this point. Fighting anything with a challenge rating of 14 is suicide.
It's gonna be rough.
So I don't like even having that in there at all seems extraneous. I understand that like since this is the cult of the dragon and this is one of their strongholds, it makes sense that there would be a dragon in the area, but it doesn't really lend anything to the campaign unless you want to kill your whole party.
Yeah, basically.
No, I like the idea. I think this is cool that they're kind of. This is the first instance you're getting of like splinter factions within the.
Yeah, where you can appeal to one and try to. Talk them away.
Yeah. So I don't know. I like that. Up to here, it's been fine.
And you laughed when I said, "Would you have changed anything or how it was?"
Oh yeah, only all right. So our party was 5 of you, 6 of you. I don't know. There's a variable number of you, but all of the player characters have dark vision except for one. So at this point, I arranged for the one guy who didn't have dark vision to get night vision goggles. What are they called? Owl vision goggles?
Goggles of night.
Yeah, the goggles of night. So he would have night vision and be the same, or dark vision and be the same with everyone else. Because everything he had fought thus far, he has been like, cool, I skin it and cut it open. Like at one point, they had skinned and taken giant spider legs and eaten them.
Yeah.
So since crocodiles kind of eat anything that could come near them, I had a crocodile have magic goggles inside him. And so he killed the the crocodile with magic goggles inside him, and then just left it. So
me being the hunter survival type guy of the group, I was like, okay, well, we just killed a crocodile. There's good meat on a crocodile, and it was like a fairly sizable crocodile. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna skin the crocodile and cook them, keep the meat. Plus, crocodile skin stuff is cool.
Yeah.
And in the process of cutting open the stomach and gutting it, jingly goggles, and I was like, "Holy shit, goggles of night!" So I kept them for a while, just to like. I mean, it extends your dark vision 60 feet, so it helped me.
Yeah.
I eventually gave them to him, just because it would. I mean, it would have been funny to me if I just kept them the whole time, but I wanted an attunement slot for something else.
They don't take.
Oh, they don't.
They
so
don't
I should have
attunement.
just never given it to him.
I mean, you could have just kept them. There's nothing I could do.
Fine.
So yeah, if I could change anything, he would have just scanned the thing. But it was funny, so I wouldn't have changed anything. It's fine.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk the castle itself. I think the outside we pretty much did. How many rooms are there?
A through W.
Wow.
So 23?
Yeah, so quite a few. That's another thing that I don't particularly like, is they go from letters to numbers.
Well, yeah, the area outside of...
Oh, is that numbered?
Yeah, the area outside is numbered, and then once you get into the castle, it is lettered. But there are also, if I'm not mistaken... Yes, that was the first floor, A through W. There are also rooms on the second floor, not all A through W, but basically... Like if you go into room A on the first floor, above it is 2A.
Yeah.
So there are all those rooms, and then there's third floor, so there's a couple third floor rooms, and then
there's also the
basement, which is 1 through 13.
Yeah, so it's pretty
It's a big area.
So why don't we just go over the first floor basics?
Yeah, like there are bullywugs and guard drakes and lizardfolk.
There's a lot of guys though.
A lot of guys.
So again,
and Otuga. What is that?
Oh, I don't know. It's the weird kind of creature with tentacles that's in the garbage pit.
Yeah. So one of the weird things about this area is there are rooms with Lizardfolk, and there are rooms with bullywugs, and there are rooms with cultists. But you have already kind of tried to convince the Lizardfolk to join you. So I think when they were running through it, they had to, like, they got to the camp and they were like, "Hey, Snapjaw, can anyone come with us?" So two Lizardfolk came with them. So I don't know. It's kind of a hard thing to play. That, like, Lizardfolk are kind of on your side, but they're not, and how do you convince them, and do they think they're just under attack? And so it was a weird dynamic, so I eventually had the Lizardfolk just ignore them until fighting broke out, and then they thought that their home was under attack, so they fought back, but...
Right.
So, I don't know, if there was a way to make it more kind of straightforward. I mean, I guess if I had Snapjaw go with you guys, he could have just been like, "Lizardfolk to me!" And then it would have been easy, they would have wiped out everyone, but...
Yeah.
Who knows? So
we at least I at the very least tried to not kill the Lizardfolk.
Yes, I remember
when possible, because we were trying to save them, and liberate them from their bullywug overlords. So I, when possible, did not want to kill them, lock them in a room or whatever we could do to get by. So yeah, I didn't want to kill any of the Lizardfolk because we were just working to liberate them.
Yeah.
So, what else we got on the first floor?
That's kind of it. I mean, guards, bullywugs, Lizardfolk.
Just a barracks, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some treasure. In the lower barracks you can find an oil of etherealness, which is really good if you use it or if you sell it.
Yeah, that's true too.
This dungeon in general has a lot of treasure in the form of gold.
Yeah.
Like, every other room you're finding gold.
But at this, you're starting to get closer to the point where gold becomes useless.
Yeah. So yeah,
once you be able to buy your full plate, you really have no use for gold.
Yeah. There is a guy I forgot to mention in here. What is it? Demarius Borngray?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Daenerys?
Yeah.
Dralmorer. I found him. Dralmorer Borngray, who runs this castle for the Cult of the Dragon. Rezimir is the oversees him, but yeah, he's kind of in charge. So he's in here too. Yeah, so that's pretty much the first floor.
Yeah.
Second floor, there's more stuff.
Yeah, does it have a spider in here somewhere too, and inspectors and stuff?
Yeah, those are in the third floor.
Okay. Anything useful on the second floor?
Not terribly useful. A little bit of gold, some rotted floors, so you can, not fall. Trapdoor.
Yeah, there's a way that leads up to that.
Oh, yeah, that's the one you were talking about. There's like a trapdoor that has a warning in Dwarvish.
Yeah.
And if you go up there, I think that's where you find the specters.
Yeah, and there's like spiders.
Yeah, and there's a spider lair with some stuff in it. Yeah.
The upper floors go pretty quick. The spiders were the roughest. The specters, rather.
Yeah.
Because they have like ethereal damage and stuff like that.
There are 6 of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a bunch of stuff there. Then you get into Rezimir's office and Rezimir's room. There's some notebooks in here that are of use later in the dungeon. And in Rezimir's room, the
statues, that's the big thing.
Yeah.
So you talk about those two down the bottom there. They're worth like a ton of money.
There's 2-foot-tall black dragon statuettes that are worth 4,800 gold to a collector.
But there's that trap that sets off acid in the room.
Yes.
Starts melting everything.
Yes, it's if you open the wardrobe before you disarm the trap or fail the dex check to disarm the trap, it does 7d6 acid damage
to everybody.
To everyone in the room.
Right, and it could ruin the statues.
Yeah, the statues.
So
yeah.
They're still worth 1,200 gold.
Yeah, even if they're partially
up.
Yeah.
So the upper floor, there's not a whole ton, right?
No, it's mostly additional enemies, additional treasure. There's a room with specters, a room with gargoyles, a room with
that's right.
More people. There is a one of the main features of this castle is the Farseer of Ilusk, which is basically a magic telescope where you can see, I think, anywhere on the plane.
I think so, or it's focused on the dragon's lair, I think.
Yeah, and that is another piece of kind of like erroneous, unnecessary information that they have in this section is that, so there's let's just call it Voldemort because I'm bored. There's Voldemort the dragon, and it's like, everyone in the area is like, yeah, Voldemort, he's like everywhere. Like, it's weird. He's like, it's weird how he's everywhere. And there are actually 2 black dragons living there. They just pretend there's only one, so it makes them seem more like powerful and mighty, and they can be in 2 places at once. So if you look through the telescope, you find out there's actually 2 dragons. Doesn't affect anything, but you find out.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and it's interesting because honestly, we play so infrequently that I just forgot about those 2 black dragons completely.
Yeah.
Because you eventually
once a
leave,
month.
and I just forgot that they were a thing. I think we told Onthar there that happened, but I don't think we came back.
Yeah.
So the final kind of big part that actually has some cool elements to it is actually the basement of the castle.
Yeah.
So I'm just glancing over the first 3 floors because nothing really major happened when we played, and I don't think there's anything you would really change, is there?
No. I mean, it was standard dungeon. They went into a room. If there was a thing, they killed it. If they killed it, they looked around, and then they moved to the next room.
Yeah, the only thing we did was we had a warlock use Hunger of Hadar to a pretty good advantage because you realized in one of your more recent games that it's actually not that useful.
It's not that
spell.
useful, no.
But it covers a 20-foot radius sphere, and we would always use it in a situation where we would trap people so they could only be inside it.
Yeah.
And that makes that a very useful spell. So.
And I think someone else used, like, Sleet Storm?
Yeah.
So, they, you know.
Double. They're just stuck in there.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the bottom of the castle. I know there's the one weird area with the ooze.
Yeah, there's a gray ooze lair.
There's like
with
treasure
a bunch
there.
Of gold. Yeah.
But like if you try to get it, you might get.
Yeah, if you try and get it, then the gray ooze comes at you, which are pretty gnarly. Oozes are pretty bulky. There are some giant frogs, giant centipede, swarms of centipedes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We actually used one of the cleric's animated zombies to go get all the gold, so the ooze would not be attracted to it.
So there's a frog lake with giant frogs.
Yep.
And some giant tadpoles.
And then, because eventually you run into Farblex and the other guy.
Yes, eventually you run into Farblex. And one of the things that they say in here is they give you like 4 different places that Farblex could be, depending on how far they've gotten without combat and whether or not the alarm was raised and all this other stuff. But his sanctum is down here, so I feel like it made the most sense to put him down here. So it was him and the Born Grey were down here, and they fought him, and they killed him.
Yeah, we made pretty good work of both of them.
Yeah.
And then there's the portal.
Yes, and then the main feature here is there's a portal to the next area.
But you don't know where it's going to go.
Yes, as players you don't know where it goes. You just
know. You can find a password in somebody's room.
In Rezimir's office, there's a paper with a password that tells you what the command word for the portal is. So, yeah, that's the big part, and you find out that like Rezimir is wherever this portal leaves, he like shows up from the portal, hangs out, talks for a while, makes sure everyone's afraid of him, makes sure the bullywugs and the Lizardfolk stay under the cult's boot heel, and then he goes back through the portal to somewhere else.
Right. So, is there anything you would change about the lower half of the dungeon? I think this was a pretty, as far as, other than being a little bit long, which is fine because it was a dungeon crawl and that's fine.
Yeah.
But I think this one was actually fairly well executed. I don't remember anything that like really jumped out at me as being bad.
There were, various enemies. I liked that there was a lot of enemy variety.
Variety for sure.
Giant, cultists, frogs, bullywugs, lizardfolk, specters, centipedes. So yeah, it was good. I liked it. And Farblex Spattergoo has a sweet name and a cool hat, which you will see.
Crocodile hat.
Crocodile hat.
Alright, so we're gonna go, I guess next is the Hunting Lodge.
Hunting Lodge, Hunting
There's
Lodge.
only 2 more chapters left, so Hunting Lodge, this area goes pretty quick, and the last one might take a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So, alright, Hunting Lodge.
Later, nerds.